My future sister-in-law accidentally sent a text about me to me, insulting how I looked in wedding dresses I tried on. I, 28 female, have been with my fiancé 40 male for 6.5 years. We got engaged in December 2020 and our wedding is in March 2023. It has always been pretty clear that his family, mostly his sisters-in-law, don't like me. For 6 years I have been trying so hard to be accepted by them, but their disdain is obvious and they do not hide it well. That was outright proven last night. I tried to involve them in the wedding planning process, so in a group chat I texted his 3 sister-in-laws and his mom some favorites from when I went wedding dress shopping. His mom commented that they were all lovely dresses. Sister-in-law 140 female put a heart emote on the dress she liked best. Sister-in-law 230 female was busy at work and chimes in later, doing the same. Immediately after that, another text from sister-in-law 1 comes in. I hate how you can see her tattoo in most of them. With a face palm emoji. I was crushed. Not even that the comment was that bad, but this just confirms that she's been talking about me in a mean way to another family member, and that really stings. I'm not surprised, the 2 sister-in-laws are huge gossipers, but it doesn't stop it from hurting. This day is so special, every bride wants to feel beautiful, and I just wanted to be nice and involve them since they are future family. To make matters worse, she tried to say that it was meant for a different text message, where they were talking about somebody else. So not only does she think I look like crap in the dresses, but she also thinks I'm an idiot. Both sister-in-laws tried to cover the mistake in the chat by acting more excited, asking questions and saying compliments, but that only made it worse. I haven't said anything. How do I move forward from this? Do I say anything at all? I can include screenshots of the texts in the comments if requested. Listen, snakes are going to act like snakes. You are now very aware of who they are, so with that knowledge go forward in life knowing who they are and try to not allow them any space in your emotions or head. Also they sound bland and hateful, so pick whatever dress you felt best in and fuck those people and their opinions. Also you can really use this moment to your own ends by drawing a line in the sand. No more trying, no more sharing pics, no more asking their opinions, no more going out of your way to be nice or in contact. Distance yourself and you can be perfectly nice and pleasant to them, but you can stop even attempting to make friends. What a relief this could be for you. I sympathize with your feelings, but the truth is, from what you described it looks like your sister-in-laws are simply not very good people. Fighting for their acceptance is just gonna frustrate you more and more. Where does your fiancé stand in this? Have you spoken about this with him? Thank you for that. Sometimes it feels good to hear it come from someone else, especially unbiased. I think the same. My fiancé is disgusted and hurt and is going to be speaking to his brother today. The sister-in-laws are his brother's wives. I'm so sorry you are having to deal with that. What does your fiancé say? It's bad enough that they sent you that text accidentally. Lying about it is really ridiculous. They don't deserve a response from you. What you deserve is to have them apologize in person. That's not going to make what happened go away, but hopefully they will recognize the need to do that so you can at least have a cordial relationship in the future and coexist. It's pretty obvious that being best friends with people like that is out of the question. Thank you, and I agree. I'm such a non-confrontational person, so it was difficult to determine if I should have called her out on it, but I won't. I think letting them simmer in it was enough of a message. Definitely curious to see what will happen when I see them in person next. I like the response of, wow, said completely blank-faced if you are not confrontational. It is basically acknowledging that you clocked the bad behavior and found it disappointing and immature, without it rising to the level of arguing or accusing. With enough wows, people generally feel they are the ones being judged and found lacking, and they are right. Another mature response to digs made in front of you is said straight-faced and sincerely in a normal, curious, not emotional voice. What do you mean by that? Especially if other people are around. Typically you get one of 3 responses. 1. I was just joking. Follow up. Oh, I guess our sense of humors are just different. 2. Oh, nothing. Continue looking at them as if you are perplexed or an unintimidating bug. Do not speak. Let them sit in it. They usually change the subject. 3. Silence. Seriously, I must have misunderstood something. What did you mean by what you said? Silence. This whole thing is crappy and is not fair to have stained your experience. Wear the dress you love most, flaunt that tattoo, and no need to confront, just stop including them in these sort of conversations. You've tried to be a friend, you've tried to loop them in like future family, and they have shown they don't deserve that spot in your life or wedding planning. Look, you can make best of it by killing her with kindness and huge smile in a Tarantino style. She knows you know it wasn't a mistake, you know she knows you know. She embarrassed herself and you both know it. I work in IT with external clients, companies, gov organizations. We delivering some SW for a complainee and the project owner on their side was career-driven officer, very controlling, everyone was afraid of her. It was important client so L couldn't just tell her to K off. One day L sent her an email with some questions and she forwarded it to her team with note like, "Guys, please have a look at it, Elv got no idea what that ducking by T.C.H wants." The colleague sent the reply directly to me. My revenge was the sweetest reply to all, saying, "Dear Mrs. Client, L appreciate so much how you helped to push the project forward, how professional from you, my whole team is looking for next meeting." Blah blah. She knew she fucked up, she knew her whole team knew she feed up. She called me with similar excuse and kind of apology. The next in-person meeting was my day to shine. I had huge smile on my face, Elle had that annoyingly positive attitude and whenever she said something, Elle said something pathetically positive about her contribution to the project. I was also absolutely professional. And there was nothing she could do about it. I kissed my coach after some of my teammates were spreading rumors about us. This is a long story, but I am going to try to make it as short as possible because a lot of things have led up to this point. I, 15 female, am an upcoming sophomore. This all started at the beginning of summer break when my basketball coach, 27 male, started to have me play for the varsity team. He began to show a little bit of favoritism towards me and he was being overly touchy, which caused me to be uncomfortable. But at the same time during games he would yell at me, which I didn't like. So last week after practice I decided to talk to him about how I don't work well when people yell at me. He said that he was sorry and that he would work on it. Then I told him that sometimes the way he touches me makes me uncomfortable. He said that it was never his intent to make me feel that way. Then he said that he feels really close to me and that sometimes he gets a little carried away. Finally he said that if he ever does something that makes me feel uncomfortable I should just tell him because he doesn't want to do anything that's not appropriate. After this talk for the rest of the week we had no problems. He didn't yell at me anymore and he didn't touch me. He was very nice. He even bought me a Mountain Dew at a game one day because I had no money. Over the weekend he sent me a message through GroupMe and asked me to come to Open Gym because he needed to talk to me about something important. Literally no one on my team ever went to Open Gym, but I knew some boys who did. I got my parents to take me even though they don't like how much time coach has us spending on basketball. When I got there he told me that we were going to talk in the lounge. Once we were in there we sat down on a couch and he said that it was probably going to be a hard conversation and it may take a while. He said that basically some of the seniors on the team made a group chat and they started to talk about us and one of the girls who was in it didn't like what they were saying, so she took screenshots of some of the messages and gave them to him. He said that most of them were talking about how they thought we were in a relationship of some kind. Then he read some of them out loud. She acts like a WH*re, she must have given him a BJ, she's such a SL*T. I was so stunned. Then he asked me if I knew of any reasons why they would say those sorts of things. I said no. Then he said, "Have you ever even had sex before?" I said no because I'm only 15. Then he went on and on about how it was totally fine if I had or if I ever wanted to as long as I used protection, and I was doing it with the right person and they were mature enough. Then he said, "But most high school boys are immature and will just try to use you." So I told him that I felt like I was too young to be doing that stuff anyways. He said, "You probably are, but lots of people do it at your age. I just want to make sure that you do it with the right person." We were on that topic for the next couple of minutes and it felt so weird talking to him about that sort of thing. I asked him to read more of the messages and then I started crying. He put his arm around me and asked if I was okay with it. I said yes. Then I was crying on him.
Then he whispered something like, "Even when you're crying you're still so beautiful."
I told him that I knew some people thought that he was showing me favoritism. Then I started to cry harder. He was trying to calm me down. He gave me a peck on my forehead. He then said that he blamed all of this on himself because he was starting to have feelings for me. He said he knew it was not appropriate and he may need to take a step back to give me space. He said that it wasn't even just because of my looks. He said he admired my personality, intelligence, and work ethic.
He said I reminded him of himself, and that when he played basketball in college he felt like there was always a target on his back because he was just a tall white boy who could shoot.
Then he said that if anyone had a problem with him, they needed to take that up with him and not take it out on me. Finally, he asked me what I would like for him to do about the whole situation. He said he could kick the girls who were involved in the messages off the team.
Or if I wanted to, we could all talk about it.
I told him that I didn't want to talk to them about it because the situation was embarrassing. Then he asked me if I wanted him to tell my parents about the situation. I told him no, because if they heard about what the girls were saying they would ask why they were saying those sorts of things, and I didn't want to explain that to them. We are Christian and they are fairly strict. I feel like if they heard that my coach merely touched me they would go crazy. Then I just started crying more and he was doing his best to try and comfort me.
Finally we just sat there with my head on his shoulder in silence.
Then he said, "Hey, look at me." I lifted my head up to look at him.
Then he said, "Everything's gonna be okay."
His face started to get closer to mine and then he kissed me. It lasted for a couple of seconds because I kissed him back. Then we got up and I hugged him. Then I told him that I was gonna tell my parents that we were talking about fundraiser ideas.
He agreed and then I called my parents to tell them to take me home. I've had time to reflect on everything and I feel like I'm going crazy.
My thoughts and actions are really contradicting each other. I was just telling myself that I was uncomfortable with the way my coach was treating me, but now I contributed to it and I almost feel like I wanted it to happen. He's super nice to me, I like the way that he treats me, and he's very attractive. I'm starting to really like him.
I know that I should talk to an adult about this, but I really don't want to tell my parents, and because we're not in school right now I can't talk to a counselor, teacher, or principal.
I just feel really confused with myself. What a creep. He took you into the lounge and told you all of this to make you trust him and so that he could kiss you in the end without you telling anyone. A proper coach would have talked to the people who wrote stuff about you in a chat and would have stopped the whole thing without bothering you with it.
But he wanted to spend time with you one-on-one because he wanted to take his grooming one step further.
You must tell your parents about this. This was not your fault. This was only your coach's fault. Don't just think about it from your perspective. A 27-year-old man decided it was okay to be extremely touchy with someone 12 years younger than someone. A man who is almost 30 decides to make moves on someone who has spent half their life in elementary school. Then, he sees her in distress, this child who has never been more vulnerable in their entire life, he decides to kiss her. Because who the fuck else does this kid have to turn to? Fucking no one. Emotionally targeting and cornering. That's why these people have a term, predator. Tell the school, make it anonymous or whatever else you have to do. Even if you escape this situation, he'll do it again to more girls who will be younger than you.
Hey, you're being groomed and he manipulated you into confiding with him as a safe space instead of having you realize he knows exactly what's going on, to the degree where he is able to take advantage of your perspective of the moving parts.
Edit update. I've read a lot of these comments and I've realized that he is definitely grooming me.
I reported him anonymously to a website that our school counselors gave us for if we ever needed to report anything.
Hopefully they will see it and something will be done. I plan on telling my parents about all of this tomorrow because I don't want to ruin the 4th of July. In a time of need, who should be my priority, my wife or daughter? Throwaway for obvious reasons. I 41 male want answers from people who understand the perspective of man's role in the family. If there is a more appropriate subreddit, let me know. My wife 37 female has wanted children for years and was thrilled when we became pregnant with our first. She is the most doting mother to him. 2 months after he was born, we found out we were unexpectedly expecting again. Her demeanor was different with the second pregnancy. She wasn't thrilled, she seemed depressed. I think she was overwhelmed with both caring for an infant, working, and being pregnant. She also had a couple of setbacks at work by having to put her career on hold again, and that was upsetting to her. I helped when I could, but I traveled for work and I wasn't always there. I was hoping when our daughter was born it would change. I was over the moon, but she wasn't. She alternates between neglectful and abusive with our newborn daughter, but manages to remain a loving caregiver to our son. She's been seeking treatment for postpartum psychosis, but that takes time. In the meantime, there was incident that caused children's services to be involved. I had two options: I could take my daughter and leave my wife, or I could allow my daughter to be temporarily placed into child protective custody if I remain with my wife. I chose my wife because she needs my help to get treatment and eventually be a good mother to my son and daughter. Now I'm second-guessing this decision as it's hard to consider giving up my daughter. Am I making the right decision? Abandonment before the age of 3 is something a child might never recover from. It's incredibly serious, and I'm not being hyperbolic here. Look it up because this is how you can mess up a person for life. I really understand your concern towards your wife and her need for care, but giving a baby away and picking her up later is not something you can do and expect her to remain unscathed. I don't think you are going to be able to take care of your wife. Your wife needs professional care, and the absence of a relationship and someone doting on her might actually help her heal faster. For that reason and others have stated, I think you should be taking care of your daughter right now. Give your wife space to heal. Wake up, man. Once you become a father, your priority is to your children. You need to get your daughter back now, else you may never have the chance again. How can you be sure that your wife is safe with your son? Postpartum psychosis is extremely serious. Children are at risk of death. Can you get custody of both kids while your wife gets treatment?